Alright guys, so today we are catching up on a little bit of schoolwork, so I thought that I would take a moment and film a little bit of what we're doing, share kind of what our homeschooling on the road looks like our curriculum, and just how we handle things. First of all, I want to let you know that it is not formal at all. We homeschooled for a little over a year before we hit the road. Actually, I guess a year and a half. So we homeschooled for about a year and a half before we hit the road. In fact, that is how our channel began. Some of those videos are not so great, but you're welcome to go check them out if you wanted to see what homeschooling looked like for us when we were in our sticks and bricks. But things have changed a lot. We are a lot less formal. We basically just do school when it works for us. Sometimes that's in the morning, sometimes that's in the evening, sometimes it's on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Tuesday night, whatever it is, we fit in the formal part of schooling where it fits. I also like to do schooling in the car if we can, so we sometimes will bring their stuff along or do the type of schooling that they can do on their tablets. We have some learning apps that they use. We have some memberships with on there. So it is so informal. So in a second, I'm going to sit down and show you where we keep our curriculum and talk a little bit about our formal curriculum. After I show you that, I'll talk to you about the informal learning that we do basically every day. Obviously, organization is always a big thing when you're living tiny, whether that's in an RV or whatever scenario that you find yourself in. And so there are often lots of questions of how to store homeschool supplies and curriculum and things like that. So I thought I would first start off with showing you where we keep ours. So this cabinet here is actually in our master bedroom here in the RV. So most of our stuff is right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a few of the physical curriculum items that we have that I'm going to show you today that the kids use on a regular basis. So first off, for my first grader's math, he uses a combination of a few different things. He has used teaching textbooks a little bit, but some of it is still a little over his head. So he is working with the Horizons Math 1. In addition to that, he also uses the math seeds, which is through Reading Eggs, and we love this. It has games, it has activities. I feel like it's a lot more academic than something, say, like ABC Mouse. It provides a lot more depth, and I feel like it's more than just games. Maybe we were using ABC Mouse incorrectly, but I feel like with ABC Mouse, he pretty much was just playing some games, and this I feel like he's getting a little bit more instruction. So those are the two formal math things that my first grader is using. For my daughter, she is using basically exclusively teaching textbooks, but she does use math seeds to fill in a couple gaps that she just has because she is not naturally gifted at math. She struggles a little bit with memorizing math facts and things like that. So then moving on to some language arts stuff, we use The Good and the Beautiful as our primary language arts, both my son and my daughter. So my daughter is almost finished with the level 2. They don't correspond with their grade. She's actually 3rd grade, but she's still working through the level 2 of The Good and the Beautiful, but she is almost finished with that. And in addition to that, we also do plenty of reading and things like that, and some other things that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But she also uses the more advanced stages of Reading Eggs, where they actually do cover a lot of like literary stuff. So she's also working through that. My son, for language arts, is working through The Good and the Beautiful as well. And then he also does a lot of the Reading Eggs educational stuff, the learning and the games and everything, to kind of solidify what he has learned. I feel that that has really helped with like his sight words and things like that, versus The Good and the Beautiful for him is more about teaching the concepts, and then he gets it reinforced with that Reading Eggs. We do have some handwriting books. I have kind of a different collection of them. I do have some, yet again, The Good and the Beautiful handwriting. I have a level 1 for my son and a level 3 for my daughter. Basically, handwriting is just a lot of copy work, so they use these sometimes, but mostly we just practice writing, journaling and drawing and things like that as far as handwriting goes. So I'm going to show you a little bit more of how we use those items and what it looks like, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about history and science. Okay, so this is a little bit of a strange angle, but we will often do schooling here at our table in what I guess you would call our dining space. It just makes sense. We do like to do school outside, just like we did at home, but it's still been a little chilly even though we're down south. Like you may know, we're in New Mexico, but it still is a little chilly and actually quite windy, which makes school a little bit more difficult as well. I'm not really going to go into super depth with this, but I just kind of wanted to show you what our curriculum looks like.
Jill will not fall off. Jill will give. The insect is small and black. Do you like it? No.
No. For the kids' schooling, the language arts and the math is pretty formal. We're kind of trying to keep up to where I guess they should be academically with those two topics. History and science, though, we're taking a little bit different of a route. We do have a formal history and several science units that I brought with us that we have used in our sticks and bricks when we were homeschooling there. But I haven't needed to pull those out yet. If you've been watching us for very long, you might know that it's a huge goal of ours to visit as many national parks as we possibly can while we're on this journey. Part of that is allowing the kids to become junior rangers. So if you're unaware of the junior ranger program, it's actually really cool. So in the program, they have these little activity booklets, and they're different for each one, and they can be a little intense. Most of them seem to be 6 years and under, 7 to 12 or so, and then 12 through adults can do them if they want to. You're given tasks to complete. Some of them are very like book work oriented. Others are like going out and finding something. But it's very much history and science based. And so in our month on the road so far, we've already visited 4 national parks. And so we have done White Sands, and I will show you a glimpse into the book a little bit, but they cover things like the water cycle. It talks about different animals, their habitats, what they eat, the food chain. This is talking about primary consumers, secondary consumers. Like, it's talking about legit stuff. So a lot of this stuff is science stuff. Some of the more historical places, like Hot Springs, talked a lot about history. So wherever we're visiting that week or whatever, if the ranger program is lacking in one or the other, we supplement. So for White Sands, it's not really history based. So then we took a hike and we did some reading about the history of the area and some important things that have happened here, some notable people that have been here. So we just institute just normal life things in that way. And if we're not in an area where we're visiting a national park and kind of using their junior ranger program, we are just learning about the area. Like I said, learning the history of the area. I do have our formal history and our formal science units there in case we find ourselves just in a bit of a lull of not really in a culturally rich area or just having a hard time getting some science and history in. But the really fun thing is they're learning the things that they're seeing. So it's gonna stick with them more. And bonus, so we're learning a lot as well, both for science and history too. So we're loving it because it's so informal. It doesn't necessarily feel like you're learning. So they're getting like that formal language arts and math where they're sitting down and doing it. Of course, they're also learning it just in an everyday way as well. And then they're getting that fun, hands-on history and science, learning where we are aspect as well. So we just have a pretty good mix, I feel, of formal schooling where it's that math and language arts, and then we've got that informal, go with the flow, learn where we are for history and science. And so far it's working out really well for us. A couple other things that you might be interested in for homeschooling. We are still registered with Home Life Academy, which is the umbrella school that we used when we lived in Tennessee. We're just already registered there for the school year, so we'll finish up with them. And then I still need to do some research to figure out what we need to do as Texas residents in order to register them for homeschooling for next year. So again, you may know that we also have a 3-year-old. So Today was really calm because my husband took our 3-year-old because we specifically knew I was going to film this video. Sometimes he's running around and loud and crazy. It's no different than when we were in the sticks and bricks. It's pretty much all I can think of at the moment. So if you find yourself with any questions about how we are doing this full time with school age kids, how we're handling the schooling part of it or anything like that, let me know. Speaking of the 3-year-old, he's coming back from a walk now with his daddy. But if you have any questions about how we're doing our homeschooling on the road, let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you.
Faith, looking for love in every direction. I'm looking for someone to show